The switcher is a device used to select between different video sources, as well as combine multiple sources to make a composited effect. In broadcasting, it's used to switch between sources such as cameras, animation, still photographs, or videos during a television show. The purpose of this tutorial is to provide a basic understanding of how the switcher operates. There are several key areas of the switcher. On the left side are 7 buses. A bus is a row of buttons, each representing a video source or graphic input. In the center are the mixing buttons, as well as a lever known as the manual transition lever. Beside it are a group of 6 buttons called direct keys. To the right of them is a 12-key panel known as the PIX pad. Lastly, to the right of the PIX pad are 4 pairs of buttons called the source menu keys. Beginning on the bottom left side of the switcher, there are 2 buses labeled Program and Preview. Program is the primary bus responsible for what is selected and going over the air. It contains buttons for the 3 studio cameras, as well as a possible 4th camera, the 2 Avid stations, one of the Mac computers, and a Blu-ray DVD player. It also contains buttons for 8 of the switcher's graphic inputs. The program bus directly corresponds to the program window on the main screen, meaning whatever is selected in program is what the viewers at home will see on the show. Beneath the program bus is the preview bus. Preview allows the switcher operator or technical director, TD, to select and see the next source before cutting to it in program. For example, during an interview, the host camera will be in program while he or she asks a question. The TD can then select the guest's camera in preview, allowing them to see the guest first, and then cut to them as they begin to answer. It's important not to push the program buttons directly to switch between sources. Doing this eliminates the ability to see what's coming up next before cutting to it. Instead, the proper way to switch is to select a source first on the preview bus and cut to it in program. For example, if the TD has camera 1 in program and wants to switch to camera 3, select camera 3 on the preview bus and cut to it. Camera 3 will now appear in the program window on the main screen and is now the source seen by viewers at home. Likewise, if the TD has black in program and the director asks for color bars, select HD color bars on the preview bus first and then cut to it. Next to the program and preview buses are the mixing buttons. When mix is selected, the cut button performs a standard hard cut between sources. The auto trans button will perform a dissolve between sources or a fade when black is selected. When the graphic transition or wipe button is selected, auto trans will perform one of many graphic wipes programmed into the switcher. To choose one, push the graphic transition button. This will populate the PIX pad with various available wipes. Select the desired wipe and push Auto Trans to execute it. To get back to the standard cut and dissolve mode, simply push the mix button. The manual transition lever can also be used to perform a dissolve when mix is selected or a graphic wipe when graphic transition is selected. Above the program and preview buses is the macros bus. Macros can apply a set of functions to a specific source. An example is the chroma key function when creating a green screen effect. Choosing any of the sources or inputs on the macros bus will populate the PIX pad with various functions available to it. Above macros are the ME program and ME preview buses. Where the ME buses differ is that they allow the TD to create a composited effect, such as green screen or picture-in-picture off the air, and cut to the completed effect in program. At the top of the switcher are the destinations buses and sources bus. These buses are integral to the process of programming direct keys. The direct keys, as previously mentioned, are a group of 6 buttons located near the bottom center of the console. These buttons are used as hotkeys or playheads, allowing the TD to program specific media to them and access it during a show. That media, which is stored in the switcher, is located in the 8 source menus found on the right side of the console. An example is a lower third, also called a font or name key. When a guest first appears on screen, it is necessary to font them, or in other words, bring up their lower third, a graphic displaying their name and the title of the show. The TD can program a direct key to contain CG1, the source menu for lower thirds, allowing them to access and activate these graphics. Before the show starts, the TD chooses the host's lower third on the PixPad from the CG1 source menu. When the host appears on the screen, the TD then pushes the assigned direct key to bring up the lower third and pushes it again to remove it. With the CG1 menu still open, the TD can select the guest's lower third, and once the guest appears on screen, push the same direct key to font the guest. Programming direct keys may seem complicated, but it's actually a simple process when broken down into steps. First, let's take a look at the destinations bus at the top of the switcher. Notice that the first 6 buttons on the far left display the numbers 1 through 6 with a symbol of a key next to them. These 6 buttons represent the direct keys. In order to program a direct key, first, choose the desired key, and in this case, the destination's key 1. Now this represents direct key 1. After pushing it, the button will become orange. Next, choose the source to be programmed. In this case, CG1 from the sources bus. This may seem difficult since the sources bus keys are white and they're not labeled. However, here is an important tip to remember. The buttons that make up each bus correspond to each other vertically, with the exception of the destinations bus at the top. This means CG1 on the program bus is also the same button on the row above it, and so on. In order to find CG1 on the sources bus, simply use the ME program bus below it, which has the sources labeled as a guide. Find the CG1 button on the ME program bus. Then go up 1 row and push the same button directly above it on the sources bus. Once the sources button is pushed, it will become yellow. Now look at the destinations key 1. It has been updated to read CG1. Next, look at the direct key 1 in the direct key panel. It's also been updated with a CG1 symbol. This means direct key 1 has now been programmed with CG1, allowing the TD to access the media contents of that menu. And in this case, that's the lower thirds, and then activate them at any time during the show using direct key 1. A simple way to think of the direct key process is like any desktop computer. The source menu buttons are like document folders. When one of them is selected, the PixPad displays the contents of that folder. Finally, pushing the assigned direct key opens the file selected from the folder, or in this case, plays or activates the media from the source menu. The standard direct key setup for this broadcasting class is as follows. CG1, which contains lower thirds in direct key 1, CG2, which contains end credits in direct key 2, still 1 in direct key 3, clip 1 in direct key 4, animations 1, which contains opening animations and transitions in direct key 5, and black in direct key 6. This setup will not change for any of the shows except when programming for a green screen effect. While the switcher may seem daunting at first, referring to this tutorial will make it simple and easy to use.